Purana Shri Shakha Vitasya Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gotase Namaha Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubheva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kant Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So once again we welcome everyone for our today's discussion. Can just somebody help me remember? We did start at 11th chapter, is it?
You have to start from the 32nd verse.
With the
11.32.
11 point?
32.
32.
Oh, really? I thought we haven't started 11th chapter. Okay. So I'll do a very quick recap then. I was sitting and preparing PPT. I thought, oh, I have not done a PPT for so while. Let me prepare PPT. So at least let me just show a little bit of PPT, do a recap, and then we'll move forward. My bad. Actually, on the our team had not updated actually the verses in the YouTube. So I saw it was at end of 10th chapter. Okay, just give me a quick second. We'll take this opportunity to do a quick recap of this important discussion. All right, screen is visible. Fine. Yeah. So chapter 11, screen is visible. Can anyone confirm me? Yeah, on Zoom. Okay, fine. So Hare Krishna. Some things are not visible to me here. Anyways, how does this chapter begins? 11th chapter is something Lord Shri Krishna in the 10th chapter speaks about it. Athava bahunaitena kim nyatena tavarchana. In essence, Lord Shri Krishna said, this is one of the concluding verses of 10th chapter. With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe, which kind of led Arjuna to request Lord Shri Krishna to actually show that form by which he pervades all over the universe. And that is how the whole discussion begins. This chapter around 55 verses, and it can be divided into 4 sections. An acronym given here is Rupa, where Arjuna makes a request to Lord Shri Krishna to show his universal form. And then from verses 5 to 14, where Lord Shri Krishna shows his universal form. And also the discussion comes how Sanjay describes about that universal form to Dhritarashtra. And after that, the third section from verse number 15 to 45 is prayers offered by Arjuna. And then finally, armed form, 46 to 55. This is a very, very significant chapter and discussion for various reasons. One of the reasons is significant, this chapter and this discussion, set aside all the confusion that may be there about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In one of the previous chapters, we saw in the 9th chapter, Lord Shri Krishna talks about 3 kinds of worshippers. One kind of worshipper is who considers my form to be just a mere human, and they consider themselves to be not different than the Lord, like that. So we discuss about it 9.11, Manusham Tanam Ashritaha, like that. Then there is other kind of worshipper who consider universal form to be all in all. They worship the universal form. And the third kind of worshipper is who consider all forms to be same. All devatas, everyone is one and same. Like that, Lord Shri Krishna speaks about it. So this chapter, that's pretty amazing actually. Despite Krishna showing his universal form, okay, let me ask this question to all of you. Of course, all of you would have studied, no doubt about it, but I'm still taking it as a kind of as a benefit of doubt, I would say that all of you are aware that in this chapter, Lord Shri Krishna shows his universal form first, and then same Krishna shows his Narayan form, and then Krishna concludes by showing his two-handed form at the end of the 11th chapter, and then he says, Arjuna, this form which I'm showing you, two-handed form, is the most rare form of all. All right. So here comes my question. Now Krishna manifested universal form, and then Krishna took away the universal form and then manifested four-handed Narayan form. So first says universal form, as in the 14th chapter, Lord Shri Krishna says, this whole universe, I am the shelter of it. Yet it's amazing that people say universal form is different than the Lord, than Krishna, universal form is greatest. First, why people think like that? Second, Lord Shri Krishna manifested Narayan form. This is happening within Bhagavad Gita. We're not going to 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, well, how Lord Shri Krishna Balram were taken by Krura, and then Lord Shri Krishna manifested his four-handed form like that. Or, Brahma Mohan Vimohan Leela, at the end of the whole episode, then all the Gopas turned into a four-handed Narayan form. We're not talking about the Leelas. We're talking about right in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna manifested four-handed Narayan form. Yet, with all due respect, Sri Parampara, Sri Sampradaya and others, they still say Narayan to be the foremost, so that's okay. We're not going to talk about Parampara, but still people have this confusion. Vishnu is the greatest or who is the greatest? And then finally Lord Shri Krishna said, this two-handed form is the rarest of all, which I'm showing it to you, Arjuna. So any thoughts on, despite Krishna giving a very clear evidences, why there is confusion? I don't know why there is confusion. Why there is need to be confusion? Every Hindu says proudly, Bhagavad Gita is my, religious book. Only thing is they're not open it probably. So that's the reason. Any thoughts? See, frankly speaking, I had not read Bhagavad Gita before, and 11th chapter was a little difficult for me to read in those days, early days. So I used to often skip it. But when later on I studied 11th chapter, I was taught 11th chapter. I was like, wow, 11th chapter put all the debates to end. There's no confusion about it. Any quick thoughts? All Krishna have given a visual evidence. Until 10th chapter, he gave a philosophical evidence. 11th chapter gave a visual evidence. He showed his form. Virat Rupa form, then four-handed Narayan form. And Arjuna is the witness of all. And through Arjuna, we are witness of all. Any thoughts why people are still confused? Who Krishna is, who Narayan is, who is the source? Narayan is the source, Krishna is the source, or somebody is the source of Krishna also. There are some people who talk about Krishna also gave us things. Any quick thoughts on this? Yes, Mother Rathimanjari. Unmute, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Am I audible?
Yes.
Please accept my humble obeisances. Prabhuji, it's basically the level of consciousness. The different sampradayas have different goals in attaining the supreme.
Okay,
So,
well, we'll avoid talking about sampradaya, but because you brought about the point of sampradaya, let me tell you why there's the differences. The differences arises based on what book they consider to be the most prominent as a source of knowledge for them. For Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Parampara, which means for followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for us Srimad Bhagavatam is the foremost book of knowledge. So that's where there are little differences arises. So we'll not get into that about Parampara, but in general I'm talking for a normal Hindu, everyone says, oh, Vishnu is the greatest. Some say all devatas are the same.
Okay, you will not be seen.
level of consciousness, Prabhuji. Basically, level of consciousness of the
Okay,
jiva.
level of consciousness.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Level of consciousness. Well, this is something Bhagavad Gita is speaking after hearing also. Vaikuntapati
So
Prabhu.
they're attracted to a certain form of the Lord,
They
the
attracted to a
consciousness.
certain form. They attracted to a certain form. Okay, okay.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you, Prabhu.
Yes, Vaikuntapati Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu, I think you have already answered that question. Because
I answered.
because people don't read
Frankly speaking, this is one question for which I have no answer. I'm really confused why people would not accept. Frankly speaking, I have no answer for this. Krishna writes in Bhagavad Gita, it's clearly written, still people are confused. I really don't know. So therefore, I'm asking all of you in case you would like to give some thoughts into it.
Yeah. So first of all, people do not read Bhagavad Gita. Without reading, they want to give this answer and explanation.
Correct.
And that is one thing, one reason. Secondly, like Mataji said, Sri Sampradaya considers Lord Vishnu to be the ultimate. They consider Krishna to be one of the avatars. They don't consider Krishna to be the main person,
Source.
God, as a source of everything. So, and Sri Sampradaya coming from Ramanujacharya and Madhvacharya, both of them are there together. So that's some confusion on that. That is also this. So if you go to the entire south, whether it is Karnataka or it is going to Tamil Nadu or any other place, Andhra, the entire south, all the 5 states, they consider Vishnu or Narayana to be the ultimate, and they believe in worshipping the Lord in awe and reverence. And Krishna to be one of the avatars only. This is there. But if you come to western part of the India also, they look at Krishna only as one of the avatars. They don't consider as the main, as the supreme, as the source of everything. Till the time Srila Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have brought it out. And in fact, acceptance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu itself is a big, there's a big debate on that also, that he is none other than the Supreme Lord. They look at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as also one of the
Great sages.
great saints. And in fact, in history books, that's what it says. School history books, it says that he's one of the saints.
I mean, I'll be surprised if any school book says Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the supreme personality God.
Yeah,
That'll be too much.
So, there are sufficient sources to add to the confusion, I would say.
Yeah, I would say, as you said, the very first thing, people have not read Bhagavad Gita. Even if they have read Bhagavad Gita, they have not read the right commentary. That would be my conclusion.
Yeah,
And
there's
just
another problem.
that's the whole thing. Unnecessary, there's confusion. And we'll pay attention through some of the verses to see, is there really need a confusion? There's a very clearly written and said things. All right. So thank you for those inputs. All of you were correct about these points. So let's take it forward. Where was I on my screen? Okay. We'll move forward quickly. So just want to quote one verse here. So here, Arjuna makes a request to Lord Shri Krishna to please show me a universal form. And Krishna says, oh, well, this is the rare thing. And in fact, the form that Krishna showed to Arjuna had never been shown to anyone before. In this regard, I'd like to quote this one very famous shloka from first canto, which Sutta Goswami speaks to the sages of Naimisharanya. Very, very beautiful verse. You may recite along with me or after me as you feel comfortable. Sathaya Pashada Sevana Sakya Dautya Virasananugama Stavana Pranama Snigdeshu Pandushu Jagat Pranitam Cha Vishnu Bhaktim Karoti Napate Charanaravinde. I felt this was appropriate to introduce the shloka here because we already saw the intimacy of relationship between the Lord and his devotees in the 9th chapter. Here, Sutta Goswami describing that same intimacy to the sages of Naimisharanya about how Parikshit Maharaj, when he went out on the tour of the world, what he learnt about the relationship of his fathers or forefathers for that reason with Lord Shri Krishna. And Sutta Goswami writes or says, Maharaj Parikshit heard that out of his causeless mercy, Lord Krishna, who is universally obeyed, rendered all kinds of services to the malleable sons of Pandu by accepting posts ranging from chariot driver to president to messenger, friend, night watchman, etc., etc., according to the will of the Pandavas, obeying them like a servant and offering obeisances like one younger in years. When he, means Parikshit Maharaj, he heard this, Maharaj Parikshit became overwhelmed with devotion to the lotus feet of the Lord. Hare Krishna. This actually is a very, very important verse. Please do go back and refer to the purport also to it. This verse sets the mood of this whole chapter. This verse raises a very important question that Prabhupada addresses in the purport with that we just read right now. And that was about why Lord Shri Krishna was so favorable towards Pandavas. In 11th chapter, there's a very famous shloka which we're going to a little bit dwell on today, where Krishna tells Arjuna, Nimitta matram bhavasavyasachi. Hey Arjuna, become an instrument of my grace. Krishna telling Arjuna. And here in this verse, Prabhupada raises the question, why did Krishna become so favorable to Arjuna? We have discussed in our Bhagavad study, but let me ask this question to all of you. And this is one point, as a devotees, we want to take it as a message from this particular chapter that we are reading, apart from all those technical details about how the Virat Rupa looked like, what Virat Rupa did, and Krishna is the Supreme Personality Godhead. This had been already established for all of us. But for as a practicing devotee, I feel there's a far more important subject matter is about why Pandavas were so dear to Krishna. Can you imagine Arjuna asked Lord Shri Krishna right in the middle of the war at the battlefield, please show a Virat Rupa. Krishna says, so be it. And that is the question Prabhupada raises in this purport. What made Krishna so favorable, or rather malleable? Which means they can just use Krishna the way they want. How? So let's see if anyone, some quick thoughts. Non-enemies of Krishna, friend of Krishna, didn't complain when they were put in so much. Okay, etc. Good. Rakesh Prabhu, one line answer, please.
Prabhuji, they were non-envious and they are pious.
Non-envious and pious. Okay, great. Madhavati Manjari, one line answers.
Very surrendered to the Lord. They were surrendered.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Prabhupada writes, why Krishna was favorable to the Pandavas? Because Pandavas were fully surrendered to the will of the Lord. Whatever Lord wanted, Pandavas were willing to accept that. So, ye yatha mam prapadyante. As you surrender, so shall I reciprocate. That's the point. And that is what we'll see in this particular chapter also. Okay, let's move forward with the discussion. So that's the theme of our discussion here with this particular chapter here. Let's take it forward. So Arjuna makes a request. I believe we have discussed this, and there's no point on me highlighting this point. Fine, leave it. I'll move forward. These are some graphs here. So Arjuna makes a request. I'll be very quick with some of the slides because you've already seen that. My dear Lord, I want you, O Lotus-eyed one, I've heard that from your detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity and have realized your inexhaustible glories. And here Arjuna expresses his understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which has been already elaborated and discussed in the previous verses. All right. And then in text number 3, Arjuna says, O greatest of all personalities, O supreme form, though I see you here before me in your actual position as you have described yourself, I wish to see how you have entered into the cosmic manifestation. I want to see the form of yours. Like that, Arjuna makes a request here and says, if you think I'm qualified, mighty Lord, please kindly bestow that vision to me. That's how the discussion begins. So why Arjuna want to see universal form? This is a very, very important question. Switch off close the washing machine. Why Arjuna wants to see this universal form? It's a very important subject matter from this chapter. Any quick thoughts onto this? The 3 reasons Prabhupada mentions why Arjuna wanted to see universal form. Now, why Prabhupada raised this question in this particular discussion? Because universal form is inferior to Lord's personal form. Universal form is nothing but a material representation. If Arjuna already had the vision of the highest form, then Arjuna doesn't have anything to see the universal form. But why did Arjuna ask for it? This is some technical thing which we should know of. Okay, Mother Maidini, let's hear from one by one. 1 point.
Prabhu, because Arjuna wanted to show to everyone that to be God or to claim yourself as God, you have to have this as one of the...
Okay, so we could say to avoid imposters. So nobody in the future can claim themselves to be the Supreme Personality. So this becomes a condition. All right. Good. Thank you. Venuvardhan Prabhu.
Same thing, Prabhu. What I want to tell that one, because anybody is I am the God means then people will tell you show your universal form like that. So this is not for the Arjuna. Arjuna already realized he is the supreme personality of the Godhead, and he got the form of the 200 and 400 forms. But only thing is for the other people's sake, he has asked to show that universal form.
Okay, fine. What else? The other reasons? Mother Kishori Rani. What's the other possible reason? Go ahead.
He wanted to actually, it was for the benefit of the others who are not on the on the path of bhakti, so that they could relate to the universal form in their own way.
Okay, so to convince other, that would be the second reason. Fine, to convince others about Krishna's divinity. All right. Third reason, Madandu Radhika.
Prabhuji, I think he wants to say that from Krishna comes the, even if people wants to see the universal form, actually Krishna is the basis from which all the other forms come.
Okay, okay. In other words, to establish Krishna's divinity as a supreme personality of Godhead.
Yes.
So we got three good reasons here. Let's see if we can have the fourth reason. Purpose writes in the puppet. This is a sure shot your question for the answer. Huh? What is that? Question paper, Bhakti Shastri. We're discussing Bhakti Shastri question paper now. What's the fourth reason? And the fourth reason is a little tricky. Let me give the answer for that. And let me show you only, if I can quickly go back to the presentation. And the fourth reason is Arjuna wants to substantiate Krishna's statement that Krishna not only theoretically or philosophically, but actually shows his form. See, in the 10th chapter, when Arjuna said, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Idam Uttamam, that time Arjuna gave his verdict. And after giving that verdict, Krishna said, hey, Arjuna, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur writes in his commentary, he said to Arjuna, hey, I'm standing in front of you. How come you're declaring me to be Supreme Personality Godhead? Arjuna said, my dear Lord, you cannot fool me anymore. Not only me, the great sages, Asito, Vyasa, Devala, Narad Muni, they all have declared you to be the Supreme Personality Godhead. In other words, if we carefully read Bhagavad Gita, there cannot be any iota of doubt that indeed Krishna is the Supreme Personality Godhead. You know, through hearing from Arjuna's personal realization, from authority like Narada, Vyasadeva, etc. And in fact, we have Pratyaksha Praman also. This is how Srila Prabhupada addresses this point. It has been taken care. All right. Move forward. Universal form is shown. Krishna description, Arjuna Karke, right? My dear Arjuna, see my opulences. And then universal form is non-permanent is another important subject matter that had been discussed before. These verses goes on. This is just a quick recap because I was told we have discussed this last time. And then Lord Shri Krishna awards a vision to Arjuna so that he can see this particular form. We had discussed that last time. Why? Okay, let me raise this question to all of you. Now, Arjuna was able to see Durdarsham. This is one of the last verses of the 11th chapter where Krishna says, Arjuna, the form, my two-handed form is the rarest of all. Arjuna was able to see that, Durdarsham form. But when it came to seeing Virat Roop form, Krishna said, let me give you the vision for it. So, a question for all of you. Since Krishna's two-armed form is higher, which Arjuna was already seeing, so why did Krishna have to give Arjuna divine eyes to see something that is lower? Hare Krishna. So this is for all those who said I have done 11th chapter verse number 32 syllabus complete. All right. So now give me an answer. These are your set questions from your exam paper. So that all of you get 100 out of 100 for the next unit exam. So why? We had discussed this elaborately. Now while talking to you, I remember what I had discussed last time. Any quick thoughts? Any quick thoughts? Anyone? Where is our audience? There is only 3-4 devotees who generally take part. Where is everyone else? Hare Krishna. I'm taking the snapshots of all those who have cameras off so that we can later on mark them absent. Where are we? Pooja, Ojasvi Chaitanya, Pallavi, Mother Dina, Shashwat Prabhu, Mahapavani. Okay, whatever other stuff there. Chaitanya Bhagwan Prabhu, let's hear from you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. This is for this 200 from Prabhu. Arjuna was a pure devotee. So Premanjana Churita Vilachanana, so that is not hard for him. But whereas the material, it is not his natural position. So it needs some.
Yeah, correct. Absolutely. This is what we have discussed last time. Arjuna, I is anointed with love of Krishna. Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena. Therefore, he cannot see anything material. So, what he saw was Krishna. For now, to see him material, Krishna has to bless him. Now you see this. This just kind of glorifies Arjuna. So, thank you. Exactly that's what we have discussed last time. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. All right, let's move forward. So this is how Lord Shri Krishna empowers. Now this actually also teaches a few other things, if you want to just elaborate on that. And that point is, in the service of the Lord Shri Krishna bestows all essential, abilities to carry out that particular service. Like we have heard this famous statement, along with instruction comes empowerment. So that's something that also gets done here with that. Okay. Let's move forward. Vision of the universal form. He saw that it was unlimited. And then we discussed about Sanjaya describing the universal form to Dhritarashtra. So Sanjaya gave a fantastic analogy. Talked about unlimited mouth and everything and so forth. So we discussed about how Sanjaya described. So these are some of the description which Sanjaya mentions in the series of verses to Sanjaya, like that. Now, before we go ahead, in terms of Arjuna's response to Lord's universal form, before we get into the discussion, we had discussed this last time. Any quick thoughts on how did Dhritarashtra responded to the vision of universal form? We're gonna see in the vision ahead, Dhritarashtra is gonna see a whole army of Kauravas getting butchered, getting killed. He saw the future, how the future is going to be for the war of Kurukshetra. Anything what happened with the Dhritarashtra? Any quick thoughts on it? We often say there were two students of Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna, I often make this point, and second is Dhritarashtra. And now if you say, somebody will say, no, only Arjuna was a student. No, Dhritarashtra also, because Dhritarashtra was given that ability, the ability to hear via Sanjaya. And who blessed Sanjaya? Vyasdev. Who is Vyasdev? Is a literal incarnation of the Lord only. That was the will of the Lord. So there are two kinds of people heard. One Arjuna, one is Dhritarashtra. One divine, other was demoniac. And accordingly, result was produced. All right. Madan Sundar, yes.
Prabhuji, I think Dhritarashtra was feeling that their destiny will still change. There is time, and by that time, probably the destiny will change and they will survive and they will win the war.
Okay.
He was hopeful actually till the end.
Oh, so he was like a modern day motivational speaker. Hope against hope. Whatever happened, never lose hope. He was hopeful. Okay. So maybe today modern day motivational speakers are coming in the parampara of Dhritarashtra. Whatever happens, never give hope. Okay. Good glorification of today's motivational speakers. All right. Okay, Chaitanya Bhagwan Prabhu, let's hear from you.
Sorry, Prabhu, it was my previous one.
Okay.
Madhurati Vanchari. Prabhuji, two reasons were given. One is he is not scared at all, and you said that he was scared. Some hairs would stand up of his, saying that his sons would be killed in the universal form.
Okay, I don't exactly remember these things. The fundamental thing was what we have discussed. We have discussed from the beginning also. This is how when a person becomes egoistic and selfish, nothing can change him. That's the whole thing. Even as much as you give Krishna consciousness, therefore it is said, keep a distance from the envious people. Even if a person is ignorant, if he's innocent, then you can give him Krishna consciousness. But speaking to envious person is of no use. Whatever you do, they're just going to do what they want to do it. There won't be any change like that. Okay, so let's conclude with this quick recap, what we saw, and then we'll come to today's verses. So Arjuna, with a folded hand, began to offer prayers, and then 15 to 45 is prayers of Arjuna to Lord Shri Krishna. And now we come to perfect. Now we come to our today's discussion. So text number 31. So from verse number 15 to verse number 31, Arjuna is speaking. And in text number 31, Arjuna said, "Who are you?" He was really terrified. He was really, really afraid. Just reading the translation of text number 31, Arjuna said, "O Lord of Lords, so fierce of form, please tell me who you are. I offer my obeisances unto you. Please be gracious to me. You are the primal Lord. I want to know about you, for I do not know what your mission is." And then comes text number 32. And we begin our discussion for today from here. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. Krishna says, Kalosmi lokshya krit pravradho loka samartum ya pravartaha rate pitvam na bhavishanti sarve ye vashista pratyanikeshu yodaha. And Lord Shri Krishna said, time I am the great destroyer of the worlds, and I have come here to destroy all people, with the exception of you, the Pandavas. All the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. Yeah, interesting purport. Let's take a look at a few lines from the purport. Next few verses are very important. The first few lines from the purport. Although Arjuna knew that Krishna was his friend and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was puzzled by the various forms exhibited by Krishna. Therefore, he asked further about the actual mission of this devastating force. Then going back, the same purport at the end, last few lines, Prabhupada writes, if Arjuna stopped fighting, they would die in another way. Krishna says, Kalos me. Time is all destroying energy. And with under the influence of time, everyone has to get destroyed. So either Arjuna fights and kills the enemy, or else enemy would be killed according to the will of the Lord, some way or other way. Clear? Death could not be checked, even if he did not fight. In fact, they were already dead. Time is destruction, and all manifestations are to be vanquished by the desire of the Supreme Lord. That is the law of nature. And now comes one of the very famous shlokas of 11th chapter, text number 33. Tasmatamutishta yasho lavaswa jitva shatrunungshva rajyam samriddham Mayevite nihita purvameva nimitta matram bhavasavyasachi. Srila Prabhupada's translation. Therefore, get up, prepare to fight and win glory. Conquer your enemies and enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement. And you, O Savyasachi, can be but an instrument in the fight. Hare Krishna. Beautiful puppets. Now, if I have to ask you here, why Lord Shri Krishna wanted Arjuna to be an instrument? Anyways, Krishna has killed everyone. Arjuna could have done it by himself. 18 days of war was not needed. Krishna could have just asked Sudarshan Chakra to finish the business. He could have done. I mean, Krishna didn't even have to ask for Sudarshan Chakra. Krishna as Paramatma could have caused him heart attack. Yes or no? I mean, Upadrashta Anumantacha Bharta Bhokta Mahishvara. We read in 13th chapter. Anumanta. It is he because of which all this internal organ, everything is functioning. You know, he within them could cause them food poisoning, could have stopped their Jataragni. No digestion would have happened. They would have died digestion. There are unlimited reasons for people to die. So, which means they would have. So, if I ask you why did Krishna chose Arjuna, I'm sure all of you agree and will give one answer only. Krishna likes to glorify his devotees. Agreed? So, you might wonder, why didn't I ask this as a question? Because this is so easy for everyone to answer. But now comes the actual question. And the actual question is, now how does we understand how Krishna wants us to be glorified? In case of Arjuna, everyone would say Krishna wanted Arjuna to be glorified. So therefore, Krishna wanted Arjuna to fight. Now, how do we know? How do I know what Krishna wants from me? Is that clear? Now, this is a question for you to answer now. You know? So, how should I know? Nimitta matram bhavasya visachi. How should I know what Krishna wants me to do? मुझे कौन सा युद्ध लड़ना है बताओ. Well, हर दिन हर समय युद्ध ही लड़ रहे जा रहे हैं. All of us have our own respective battlefield. Let's see. Anadi Anshuman, bro. Let's hear from you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dhanutram. So, Prabhu, there are two ways for us to know what Krishna wants from us. One is, of course, his instructions in the form of the Shastras, the Bhagavad Gita and others, and Bhagavatam, etc. And other is in the form of the Guru Parampara, right? Guru is Krishna's representative. So, whatever our Guru's instructions, they are, in a way, Krishna's will from us or instructions to us.
Okay. Okay. All right. Good. Anything else?
No, Prabhu, that's what comes to my mind. Shastras and Guru. Yeah.
So, you see, Arjuna did not want to fight a war, right? He wanted to walk away. And Krishna said, fight. Similarly, in our life, we'll have situations where we have already made our own plans. And our respective Guru Sadhu Shastra comes and says, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Take a U-turn. What would you do? Now, I'm not going to ask you what would you do. That's not a right question for me to ask here. I'm going to say, at that point of time, how do we understand this is what Lord wants me to do or not want me to do? Is that kind of making sense here a little bit? Now, when we are as a third party, to see Krishna and Arjuna's conversation is fairly easy for us to comment. Agreed? When we're an outsider, we can easily look at others and comment it. But this is our journey. Bhagavad Gita is a self-help book, or say this is Krishna's words for us. Now, what do we do when we find an instruction or suggestion or recommendation which is opposing our viewpoints, my plan for the life? What do we do, or what can we possibly do? Now, if nimitta matram bhavisachi for us means to following the orders, how do we reconcile? I can't. I have already made my plans. So, what possible options do we have that point of time? Yes, Madhav Kripa Prabhu. Some suggestions, recommendations like that.
So there are two things which I would definitely see. One is to take guidance of Guru Sadhu Shastra whenever I am doing my plans. Second thing would be like any choice we make should take us more near to Krishna than taking us farther away. So that could be the parameter based upon which we can decide whether what we are going to do is right. If I'm understanding a question rightly, this is what I thought. Or if there's anything else we can discuss.
Yeah, let me rephrase my question to you again. Don't get afraid with this question, don't get worried. But just we're doing some introspection here, all right?
Yeah.
And this is something which will run through in our life again and again. So we are trying to munch out and see what suggestions would you give. If in case a devotee finds himself or herself in a situation where for us to become nimitta matram of the mercy of the Lord, for us, as Anadi Anshuman Prabhu said, follow Guru Sadhu Shastra, what Bhagavad Gita teaches, and then what Bhagavad Gita teaches gets clear to us whatever authority wants us to do. But if you are in a situation where you have your viewpoint about your life, this is how I want to live, this is what I want to do, and then your authority comes and says, no, take a U-turn. Take a U-turn. Krishna is telling the same thing to Arjuna. Arjuna has already decided, no, I want to go to the forest. Krishna says, take a U-turn. Go back onto the chariot, fight. Is this something okay? Sounds? This is quite possible?
Right, right,
Quite possible situation.
right.
Here, I'll give you a caveat here, okay? Then we'll come back to the situation again. Many times, knowing that I cannot handle this, we try not to bring up our situation in front of our authorities only.
Right.
This is the way out, we look for it. And what we do everything, we make our decision, we confirm our tickets, we book a house, we send our family also there, and then we send a farewell bidding message. Okay, Prabhuji, thank you so much for all the guidance. I'm I'm just about to catch a flight and I'm moving to Phalana Dikana country. And Prabhu said, where are you going? Vacation? No, I've got a job. I'm shifting. So it is just a courtesy. Okay, I'm bidding farewell, Haribol. I'm just giving one extreme example. This could
Right,
be differently phrased, you know.
Right.
So how many of you agree this is what also is a caveat here? This is how we do, because, you know, Haribol, right now I need my own oxygen level. I don't want too much Krishna around right now. I want to do my things as I feel the best I can do it. Maybe in future when I'm ready,
Right.
then I'll do it. So what would you do? Again,
Yeah.
as I said, please excuse me if I'm making anyone uncomfortable. That's not my intention. We're just trying to discuss it out.
I think, Prabhuji, the advice of the advisor would also depend upon the degree of the surrender of the person to his authority or to his will.
Yeah,
I mean,
ultimately it's my onus, right?
yeah, it's the individual's onus.
It's
to
the point is,
offer.
even if I have to surrender, it is I who have to surrender.
Right.
So that becomes again a technical terminology to say I have not surrendered. So my question is, why have you not surrendered? What are you waiting for? Next Ekadashi? Okay, next Ekadashi I surrender. I mean, what are we waiting for? What is preventing us? What is holding us back? That is where we are trying to, you know, we know what is holding us back. Okay, let's do this way. Surrender is a gradual process. It ain't going to happen overnight. Agreed? Now, how can we reconcile so it becomes a win-win situation? If not win and lose. Win for me, lose for my authority, where the authority loses faith on me, trust on me. You know, this guy is going to do what he wants to do. But is there a way we can do win-win situation where my thing is also a little bit adjusted and I'm able to actually follow something rather than not following? Is there a possibility of that? Any thoughts onto it? So we have a few hands up here. Vaikuntapati Prabhu, we'll begin with you. Madhav Prabhu, you want to say something else?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, go ahead.
Once
You are hardly visible to me. You know, set your camera so that I can see you.
Is this better? Yeah.
Ha, bolo.
So I was trying to say that, as you said, surrender is a gradual process. Anything which defines whenever we have to take any major decision in life, definitely, you know, we need to do in consultation with our advisor, mentor, guide, spiritual guide. And then we have to, if we are not able to do what he or she says, then we have to seek at least, you know, some kind of midway where we can continue to serve under his guidance, irrespective of where we are or, you know, what choice we make. That is one thing. Second thing could be that if there is a possibility to, you know, look from a wider perspective, if we can alter our plans, that's the best thing to do if it is possible. But if your mind and if you're half-heartedly doing a U-turn, then neither you'll be happy here nor you'll be happy there. Even, I mean, whatever choice you make. So in such a state, you would not be able to deliver. Instead, if there is a middle way where, you know, some part of your choice is fulfilled and still you can serve the mission in one way or the other, I think that should be the middle ground one has to take rather than moving up.
Okay. To summarize, if I get it correctly, let's say somebody came up with a situation that I got an offer to go to America. I want to go to America. You know, what do you do? So you know that the person has made his mind. American dream is sweet dream. You don't want to make it sour by saying not to go. And if you say no, the person will be heartbroken. So a win-win way could be, all right, Prabhu, you go. You have a young family, but make sure when your kids grows up to be 6 or 7 year old, before they enter those draconian and terrible school system there, in the next 4 or 5 years, wind up your thing and come back.
Yeah.
Does this sound win-win solution?
Yeah, and continue to serve there and take association of devotees.
Of course, that is true. But I'm saying, if a person is willing to follow this much advice, which means his needs are done, and you have ensured to offer his, offer to keep, ensure to keep him under certain protection system.
Yeah.
But if in case a person says no, I really want to get settled there, I want to do that, then you have to say, okay, what? I mean, something. I'm just gave one example, if I understand correctly, as you were trying to say. All right, we'll take one or two, Vaikuntapati Prabhu and then Chaitanya Bhagavan Prabhu. Yes, Vaikuntapati Prabhu. Any thoughts on that?
Prabhu, I'm sorry. I think the question got. Your original question was that if I want to do something exactly opposite of what Krishna wants to do, then how do I reconcile? How do I know?
Correct. I mean, because that
Yeah.
original question. I mean, I kind of.
The dual post got changed over.
Correct.
Process of clarification.
Yeah, I mean that I had to let it go because that was a very difficult situation. Because when we have already made up a mind, that requires really a lot of surrender, as Arjuna had towards Krishna. That situation can only get reconciled when we have one person in life to whom we say yes, sir. So therefore, we came to the second situation where, okay, if not that, because our surrender is not that, it gradually develops. So can there be any possibility still to have a win-win solution for both? So that's the reason I kind of came down to that.
So can I answer the first question?
Yes.
All right. So I will talk from my personal experience on this matter. I have found out that in 2-3 occasions it has happened when I want to do something, and I think this is the right thing to do, and I start going ahead on that. What happens is, in spite of all the best efforts, the things do not progress. There are so many impediments in it, and it somehow or the other from inside, then you start getting the feeling, this is not what Krishna wants. Drop it and you change it, then it gets fitted into this thing. This is my personal experience. I could be not necessary that I'm 100% right, but from my personal experience, I think this is what is happening. That I want to go in one direction, and when you start going on right from the beginning, there are so many obstacles. The obstacles keep coming, which should be a very smooth journey. That there are so many obstacles, and then you start realizing probably this is not what Krishna wants. So what you do is you stop going up further. Prabhu left.
Yes, Prabhuji, continue. Sorry, something happened and I had to switch off my camera. You can continue speaking.
Oh, I thought. All right, so I completed, Prabhu.
Okay, Chaitanya Bhagavan Prabhu, you want to add something to it? Go ahead.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Dhanavad Pranam. Prabhu, matter is, of course, as you said, it is case-to-case basis, different situations. But generically, if one devotee's intent, sincerity of intent is very strong. So that is the principle what Prabhupada in his own life also, like when he got instruction from, it was after a long time actually this. But if somebody is sincere in his intent, because Lord is there in the heart, and not just taking shelter of like Maya and giving some material excuses and not to defy. If he's got a repentant and long-term, okay, in his thought that, okay, I will try to come back, or I should say more of a purity of intent, of sincerity, which is the so then he'll be safe and protected, and that will be a win-win situation probably.
Oh, Hare Krishna. Okay. Sorry. Yes, we'll take one.
Can I add one more point?
Yes.
Yes, adding to this. So today I was hearing to one lecture on 6.2.1 by Srila Prabhupada. And in that lecture, Srila Prabhupada is telling that we will have different desires and want to do many things in life. But then gradually we should come to a situation where there is only one desire, and that desire should be only to serve Krishna. So all the desires get subsumed by this desire.
Correct. I mean, okay, all right. Just wanted to add something, but I got distracted because something happened around. But thank you, Vaikuntapati Prabhu, Chaitanya Bhagavan Prabhu, and others for your.
And he also got distracted because of your distraction.
Something happened. I had to move around a little bit. Let's come back to Prabhupada purport. I'm gonna read some very important things that Prabhupada mentioned in the purport here. Let's take a look at it. So please mark it for yourself. 33 and 34 verses purport are very, very important. Prabhupada writes, you can see on the screen right now. This is in the middle of the purport. Prabhupada says, There is a specific plan being carried out in this material world. What is this plan? This cosmic manifestation is a chance for the conditioned souls to go back to God and back to home. As long as they have, please mark it, domineering mentality, which means controllership mentality, which makes them try to lord it over material nature, they are conditioned. But anyone who can understand the plan of the Supreme Lord and cultivate Krishna consciousness is most intelligent. Is most intelligent. Something interesting Prabhupada writes in the next purport, 34th verse. I'll read out the translation. Translation is, Drona, Bhishma, Jayadrath, Karna, and other great warriors have already been destroyed by me, Krishna speaking to Arjuna. Therefore, kill them and do not be disturbed. Simply fight and you will vanquish your enemies in the battle. Now, what does Prabhupada writes in the purport? Every plan is made by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he is so kind and merciful to his devotees that he wants to give the credit to his devotees who carry out his plan according to his desire. Life, please mark it, life should therefore move in such a way that everyone acts in Krishna consciousness and understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the medium of a spiritual master, through the medium of Guru, through the medium of Guru. There is not about direct conversation, through the medium of Guru. So what happens next? Prabhupada writes, very important line. The plans of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are understood by His mercy. So the question I raised, what's the plan for Krishna for me? We can only understood by Krishna's grace, all right? And the plans of the devotees are as good as his plans. One should follow such plans and be victorious in the struggle for existence. Hare Krishna. So in these two set of verses, Prabhupada brings to a conclusion that what is best for me, what Krishna wants me to do. For that, we need to ask our spiritual authorities and to be engaged in devotional service accordingly. The plans of the devotees are as good as the plans of the Lord. If I just put it into one line, these two verses are kind of instructing us that we have to learn to give up our domineering mentality and have to cultivate surrender. Cultivate surrender. Again, how do we cultivate surrender? When we begin the process of gradually accepting things step by step. It's not going to be overnight. And all of us have done it at our level. We are chanting 69, following 4 agri principles, wearing dhoti kurta, putting tilak. So many aspects we have changed. But one thing for which I did this discussion, which I want to bring it out to your attention now, and then we'll move forward. Some of you might be wondering, why are we talking all this thing? This is the point for which I wanted to discuss all this. And the point is, when we begin, this is my observation. If it makes sense, you accept it. If not, throw it out of the window. This is my observation of, what happens. When we come in the beginning in Krishna consciousness, we are in a learner's mode. We are in learner's mode. Somebody teaches us put a tilak, we put a tilak. Somebody tells us put a dhoti kurta. Somebody gives us a bead like chant, we chant. However, unfortunately, after some time, that learner's mode disappear. And some of us gets into the mentality, I know. The moment we get into this thought process, I know, and in case if it has ever happened, if you look back in the history of your life, if it has ever happened with this thought that I know, that is the time we have stopped listening. And that is the time of our surrender, just we went back to the, square one from where we started. But we still continue with the devotional practice because it has become a subset of our life. So we still continue our devotional practice, but without surrender. Now that consultation, that discussion, taking guidance have somehow stopped in our life. And it may resume after some time. Maybe we get a big kick by Maya or something happens and it may resume. I don't know how would it work out in the future. But does it make sense? Have you seen this? where this somehow learner's mode begins to dwindle and we get into this teacher's mode. And it just happens because, ultimately we are still conditioned and we get responsibility of taking care of people, giving classes, we become mentor, then we become counselor, we become this, we get post, position, thing changes. Somewhere this happens. So this is the trick actually. And then we stop taking consultation, then we just tell what we are doing. We don't even ask, Prabhuji, do you have your blessing? We just say, okay, Prabhu, this is what we are doing. This is what I've decided. And you see how the whole language of the same person changes from Prabhuji, can I do this? This is right, wrong. And coming to a situation, I have done this, I have decided this. I hope this is okay. Not even asking, do I have your permission? This is how the shift happens. All right, Hare Krishna. My 2 cents on the subject matter. We'll move forward now. Text number 35. Now here, Sanjay speaks what he says. Sanjay said to Dhritarashtra, O king, after hearing these words from the Supreme Personality Godhead, the trembling Arjuna offered up his senses folded hands again and again, and he fearfully spoke to Lord Shri Krishna in a faltering voice as follows. And 36 verse onwards, Arjuna begins to speak. What Arjuna speaks, we'll read the translations here now. Text number 36. Arjuna said, O master of the senses. Okay, so our admins want to share the screen, they can. I don't know if they are host right now. Make them quick. Sorry, 1 second. Host. So if somebody, any of the admin would like to share the screen so they can see the verses on the screen, that'll be nice. I'm just quickly making them co-host. Yeah, Hare Krishna. So text number 36, Arjuna said, O master of the senses, the world becomes joyful upon hearing your name, and thus everyone becomes attached to you, although the perfected beings offer you their respectful homage. The demons are afraid and they flee here and there. All this is rightly done. Like that. So last few lines of the purport. This is Arjuna is quite scared now and is offering his concluding prayers. When Arjuna saw the universal form of the Lord, the demigods took pleasure in it, but others who were demons and atheists could not stand it when the Lord was praised. Out of their natural fear of the devastating form of the Supreme Personality Godhead, they fled. Krishna's treatment of the devotees and the atheists is praised by Arjuna. In all cases, the devotee glorifies the Lord because you know that whatever he does is good for all. Next, you are the best. O great one, greater even than Brahma. You are the original creator. Why then should they not offer their respectful obeisances unto you? O limitless one, God of gods, refuge of the universe, you are the invincible source, the cause of all causes, transcendental to this material manifestation. So Prabhupada in the purport talks about the different adjectives which Arjuna have used for Krishna, just like Arjuna calls Krishna as Mahatma, Prabhupada says, which means that he is most magnanimous and unlimited. Like that, Arjuna is glorifying Krishna. Text number 38, now Arjuna says, my dear Lord, you are limitless. You are the original personality of Godhead, the oldest, ultimate sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You are the knower of everything, and you are all that is knowable. You are the supreme refuge above the material modes. O limitless form, this whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. Like that. And then text number 39, Arjuna tells Krishna, you are the father of all. You are air, you are the supreme controller, you are fire, you are water, and you are the moon, you are Brahma, the first living creation, you are the great grandfather. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you 1,000 times, again and yet again. Purport, few lines of the purport. The Lord is addressed here as air because air is the most important representation of all the demigods, being all pervasive. Arjuna also addresses Krishna as a great grandfather because he is the father of Brahma, the first living creature in the universe. Text number 40. Arjuna says, my dear Lord, I offer you respect from all directions. Obeisances to you from the front, from behind, from all sides. O unbounded power, you are the master of limitless might. You're all pervading, and thus you are everything. Puppet. Out of loving ecstasy for Krishna, his friend, Arjuna is offering his respects from all sides. He's accepting that he is the master of all potencies and all prowess, and far superior to all the great warriors assembled on the battlefield. It is said in the Vishnu Puran, Yo yam tvagato deva samipam devatagana satvam eva jagat srashta yata sarvato bhavan. Whoever comes before you, even if he be a demigod, is created by you, O Supreme Personality of Godhead. And now comes another two very important verses. Text number 41-42. After glorifying Krishna, now Arjuna actually asks for forgiveness. And he's thinking, oh my goodness, what have I done? This person who is limitless, who is the greatest of all, he is the original personality of Godhead. I considered him as my friend. I requested him to become my charioteer. You know, I would put my feet on his chest and rest in the afternoon. And Arjuna, I mean, just imagine, carefully, we have not gone to the Sanskrit today because we did some discussion. But if we a little bit go through the Sanskrit and look at the emotions, Arjuna is feeling he's going through a big guilt drive. He's feeling, I'm so guilty. Now, how have I treated him? Who I'm thinking I will fight and defeat. Before anything began, he ate them. Virat Rupa completely, destroyed. And looking at that, he's feeling so disturbed because of that. And therefore he says, Sakheti matva prasabham yaduktam he Krishna he Yadava he Sakheti ajanata mahimanam tavedam maya pramada pranayena vapi yashavahasartham asatkratosi vihara sayyasana bhojaneshu eko tavapi yachutatat samaksham tashamai tvam aprameyam. Arjuna said, thinking of you as my friends, I have rashly addressed you, O Krishna, O Yadava, O my friend. Imagine Narayan, okay, forget about Narayan, we'll come back to Narayan. Let's say you're hosting the Prime Minister of country and you're on the stage with the Prime Minister, say, so, we are so fortunate, Narendra Modi aaj yahan par aaya hai, hamare sang stage par baitha hai. How would you feel? You can take off the screen now. Yeah. This is something which a friend of Narendra Modi can speak. But yet, when you're on an official program, even the friend would not speak like this. How are you supposed to address? You're supposed to say, we are so fortunate that we have the opportunity to be on the stage with Shri Narendra Modi ji. Right? And Arjuna is saying, oh, what did I do? I called him, hey Krishna, hey Yadav, hey Sakheti. I did not use appropriate, what do you say, respect. I did not give Krishna the respect that he deserved. I should call him Shri Krishna. Mere rath ke sarthi banoge? That's what he was kind of thinking. I did not behave properly. Oh Yadav, oh my friend, not knowing your glories, please forgive whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you many times, jesting as we relaxed, lay on the same bed, or sat or ate together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of many friends. O infallible one, please excuse me for all those offenses. Hare Krishna. Anyone would like to read the puppet? You can kindly raise your hand. Okay, Mother Medavani, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Although Krishna has manifested before Arjuna in his universal form, Arjuna remembers his friendly relationship with Krishna.
Sound is low. You want to speak loudly?
Yeah. Yeah, Hare Krishna. Although Krishna has manifested before Arjuna in his universal form, Arjuna remembers his friendly relationship with Krishna and is therefore asking pardon and requesting Krishna to excuse him for the many informal gestures which arise out of friendship. He is admitting that formally he did not know that Krishna could assume such a universal form, although Krishna explained it as his intimate friend. Arjuna did not know how many times he may have dishonored Krishna by addressing him, "Oh my friend, oh Krishna, oh Yadava," etc., without acknowledging his opulence. But Krishna is so kind and merciful that in spite of such opulence, he played with Arjuna as a friend. Such is the transcendental loving reciprocation between the devotee and the Lord. The relationship between the living entity and Krishna is fixed eternally. It cannot be forgotten, as we can see from the behavior of Arjuna. Although Arjuna has seen the opulence in the universal form, he cannot forget his friendly relationship with Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'll just walk you through with a quick presentation of what's going on here. So here from verse number 35 to verse number 46, Arjuna is offering prayers. Just do a quick recap what it is. So Sanjay is describing to Dhritarashtra. Sanjay is narrating to Dhritarashtra Arjuna's prayer. And Arjuna begins to speak in from verse number 35. Arjuna in a faltering voice, as we get to know why faltering voice, because he was grief-stricken. He was on a guilt drive. He think he had made a mistake. And now filled with awe and reverence, he began to speak. Where he recognized Krishna's action as all good for everyone. He is worshipable by everyone. And like that, he described Krishna to be. And then he spoke the following verses that we just saw up to 40. And now text number 41 and 42, he begged for forgiveness. Begs forgiveness for treating Krishna as an ordinary friend. Why? Because he kind of ignored Krishna's supremacy, or he wasn't aware. That's the beauty of the Sakyaras. He called Krishna as Yadava, called him jokingly like that, jesting as a relaxed, lay on the same bed, etc., etc. Arjuna knew that Krishna could accept such a universal form like that. And Arjuna, the last point is an interesting point. He could not forget the relationship of a friend. So that's a point which mentioned here, and therefore he's kind of regretting for it. And we already discussed 42. Now let's come to, So devotee's intimacy with Krishna. How Krishna relates to devotee is an interesting point. Arjuna might have forgotten who Krishna is. Do you think Krishna also forgot who Arjuna was? And that's a beautiful point about this. So Arjuna is thinking, oh, what did I do? I forgot about the greatness of the Lord. But that the point is, but Krishna is so kind and merciful that in spite of such opulence, he played with Arjuna as a friend. Particularly the photo of Krishna and Sudama has been captured in this particular scene over here. Arjuna is lamenting his previous over-familiar relationship with Krishna, but Krishna is still Krishna, He's like, okay, all right, what's the big deal? Let's take a look at text number 43 and 44. What does Arjuna said further? Arjuna prayers, begging forgiveness. And he said, translation, you are the father of this complete cosmic manifestation of the moving and the non-moving. You are its worshipable chief, the supreme spiritual master. No one is equal to you, nor can anyone be one with you. How then could there be anyone greater than you within these three worlds? O Lord of immeasurable power. Like that. That's what we described. You are the greatest, you're the supreme spiritual master, and you are the supreme father. And then text number 44, where Arjuna tells to Krishna, my dear Lord, please forgive me. Tasmat pranamya pranidhaya kayam prasadaya tvamaham ishamityam piteva putrasya sakheva sakhyo priya priyayarhasi deva shodham. So now here in this 44th verse, Arjuna gives reason why he should be forgiven. And he gives three different analogies. Just like a father forgets, the father forgives the mistake of his son, you're like my father. So he presents his case also, why he should be forgiven. Interesting. And Arjuna says, your mercy, you are the supreme Lord to be worshipped by every living being. Thus I fall down to offer you my respectful obeisances and ask your mercy. Why? Three things. As a father tolerates the impudence of his son, first. Second, a friend tolerates the impertinence of another friend. And the third, husband the familiarity of his wife. Please tolerate the wrongs I may have done unto you. Puppet. Krishna devotees relate to Krishna in various relationships. One might treat Krishna as a son, or one might treat Krishna as a husband, as a friend, as a master. Krishna Arjuna related in friendship as a father tolerates, or the husband or master tolerates, so Krishna tolerates. And now text number 45, Arjuna says, My dear Lord, मैं दोबारा नहीं बोलूंगा, मुझे विराट रूप नहीं देखने का है. Please come back to your normal form. Text number 45. अद्रष्टपूर्वं हर्षितोऽस्मि दृष्ट्वा भयेन चाप्रव्याथितं मनो मे तदेव मे दर्शय देवरूपं प्रसिद्धदेवेश जगन्निवास. After seeing this universal form which I have never seen before, I am gladdened. But at the same time, my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as a supreme personality Godhead, O Lord of Lords, O abode of the universe. Text number 45, as you see on the screen, Arjuna requests Krishna to withdraw the fearsome form and reveal the form of personality of Godhead. Krishna, this teaches us a few things. We'll read out the purport. We'll take a break after this and then we'll come back and read the purport. I'll give you the synopsis here. Krishna can assume any form, as is asked here to show his Narayan form. Next, universal form is a temporary form, but Vaikuntha form is transcendental, four-handed, and eternal. It indicates Arjuna is afraid and also joyful simultaneously. Why? We'll come back to it. Different Narayanas are named according to different configurations of four-hand. And finally, Arjuna's request to see the four-handed form indicates that all the forms are one with Krishna. This is what from Prabhupada's purport. Why Arjuna is simultaneously afraid and joyful? He is joyful because he is gladdened by knowing his friend's opulence as Supreme Personality Godhead and his ability, Krishna's ability to show his opulences. Afraid. Why Arjuna is afraid? He is glad to see how his friend is so great. Supreme Personality Godhead, indeed, fantastic. But why is he afraid? He is afraid because of many offenses committed to such a personality. And then the verse will continue. We'll take a look at the purport. This is a synopsis of this purport of text number 45. So here at this point of time, we can pause for a break. It's around 2:22. We can come back after 8 minutes and resume at 2:30. Is that okay? And then we'll take the last few verses and then we'll complete the 11th chapter for today. Hare Krishna. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathannitam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Visakhannitam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, resuming our discussion, we just saw text number 45, where Arjuna requested Lord to please kindly resume your normal form, like that. Text number 46. Now, that's an interesting verse. We can kindly have the shlok shown, if possible, on the your screen. We can take a look at the verses, at the Sanskrit a little bit. Text number 46. Kirtinam gadinam chakrahastam ichhami tvam drashtumaham tathaiva teneva rupena chaturbhujena sahasrabaho bhava vishwamurti. So in text number 45, we saw Arjuna requesting, my dear Lord, please resume your normal form. And our text number 46, he explicitly, or he expressed himself explicitly what he wanted to see. And what did he said? Kirtinam, Gadinam, Gada, club, Chakrahastam, that form in which you hold Gada. Does Krishna hold Gada ever? No. Chakrahastam. Krishna, you don't see Krishna always holding chakra. It is Vishnu who holds chakra. It is Vishnu holds Gada. Kirtinam, proper translates helmet. Krishna never wears a helmet. He has a peacock feather. Then Ichhami Tvam, I wish to Drashtum Aham Tatevaha. I wish to see you in that position. Which position is he indicating? He is indicating about Vishnu. Tenev Rupena Chaturbhujena, my dear Lord. Which one? Chaturbhujena, four-handed form of yours. Sahasrabhavo Bhava Vishwamurti. Sahasrabhava, right now you're in universal form. You have thousands of arms. Please become that four-handed form of yours. O universal form, O thousand-armed Lord, I wish to see you in the four-armed form, with helmeted head, with glove, wheel, conch, lotus, flower in your hands. I long to see you in that particular form. Somebody would like to read the puppet? Devotees can raise their hand. We can ask them. They would like to read. Okay, Madan Sundar, your hand went up first. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
46 puppet.
Yes, Prabhu. In the Brahma Samhita 5.39, it is stated, Ramadi Murti Kala Niyamena Tishthan. The Lord is eternally situated in hundreds and thousands of forms, and the main forms are those like Rama, Narsimha, Narayana, etc. There are innumerable forms. But Arjuna knew that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, assuming his temporary universal form. He is now asking to see the form of Narayana, a spiritual form. This verse establishes without any doubt the statement of the Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead and all other features originate from him. He is not different from his plenary expansions, and he is God in any of his innumerable forms. In all of these forms, he is fresh like a young man. That is the constant feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who knows Krishna becomes free at once from all contamination of the material world.
Text number 47, Lord Shri Krishna responds to Arjuna's request. Shri Bhagavan Vacha, Maya Prasannena Tavarjunedam, Rupam Param Darshitam Atma Yogat, Tejo Mayam Vishwam Anantamadhyam, Yanme Twadanyena Nadrashta Purvam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, happily have I shown you by my internal potency the supreme universal form within the material world. No one before you has ever seen this primal form, unlimited and full of glaring effulgence. Mother Kishori Rani, please read the puppet.
Arjuna wanted to see the universal form of the Supreme Lord, so Lord Krishna, out of his mercy upon his devotee Arjuna, showed his universal form, full of effulgence and opulence. This form was glaring like the sun, and its many faces were rapidly changing. Krishna showed this form just to satisfy the desire of his friend Arjuna. This form was manifested by Krishna through his internal potency, which is inconceivable by human speculation. No one had seen this universal form of the Lord before Arjuna, but because the form was shown to Arjuna, other devotees in the heavenly planets and in other planets in outer space could also see it. They had not seen it before, but because of Arjuna, they were also be able to see it. In other words, all the disciplic devotees of the Lord could see the universal form which was shown to Arjuna by the mercy of Krishna. Someone has commented that this form was shown to Duryodhana also when Krishna went to Duryodhana to negotiate for peace. Unfortunately, Duryodhana did not accept the peace offer, but at that time, Krishna manifested some of his universal forms. But those forms are different from this one shown to Arjuna. It is clearly said that no one had ever seen this form before. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, one second, let me just pull out the presentation here. So this is the last section of this 11th chapter from verse number 46 to 46 to 55. And there are different processes to know absolute truth. One is said to be a materialistic calculation of the absolute truth, wherein they consider Krishna to be a great historical personality, but at the end of it, he is still an ordinary person. Even though he was so powerful, but had to accept a material body. And then ultimately they come to a realization the Lord is impersonal. This includes many modern day gurus also, who say, oh, Ram was a great personality. Therefore we say Ram. Krishna, oh, great personality, very powerful personality, like that. And ultimately the conclusion comes to is impersonal. The Lord does not have a form. Then there is a speculative calculation of the Supreme Lord. Those who are in search of knowledge also speculate on Krishna, consider him to be less important than universal form of the Supreme. Can we close it? There's too much noise from outside. We can open the fence if need to be. It's too distracting. Close? Yeah. Consider him to be less important than universal form of the Supreme. They think personal form of the Supreme is something imaginary. And then, which would be highlighted here in the upcoming verses, is to know Krishna as he is, which is transcendental process, and that begins with Tadvidi Pranipatena. Lord reveals this just like he revealed to Arjuna by removing his Yogamaya. Rupam Param Darshitam Atma Yogat, by my internal potency. And how can we access this form? It is only possible by the practice of devotional service. Now let's take a look at 48th verse onward, what Krishna says. So, in 48th verse, Krishna says, Naveda yagna dhayayane nadane nacha kriyabhe natapabher ugrahe evam rupa shakya aham na loke drashtum twadanyena kuru pravira. Krishna says, the form that you are seeing of mine, it cannot be seen. Naved yajna adhyayane. So, not by Veda yajna, which means sacrifice. Adhyane means Vedic study. Na dane, nor by charity. Na cha kriyabhe, which means pious activities. Na tapa, not by tapasyas. Ugrahe. Which tapa? Tapavir ugrahe. Ugra means severe. Evam rupaha shakya aham naloke. O best of the Kuru warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mind. For neither by studying the Vedas, nor performing sacrifice, nor by charity, nor by pious activities, nor by sea of penances can I be seen in this form in the material world. Very important purport. We can have one or two devotees read out this. Madhurati Manjari, please read the first two paragraphs.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji Dandapana, purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. The divine vision in this connection should be clearly understood. Who can have divine vision? Divine means godly. Unless one attains the status of divinity as a demigod, he cannot have divine vision. And what is a demigod? It is stated in the Vedic scriptures that those who are devotees of Lord Vishnu are demigods. Vishnu Bhakta Smrita Devaha. Those who are atheists, that is, who do not believe in Vishnu or who recognize only the impersonal part of Krishna as the supreme, cannot have the divine vision. It is not possible to decry Krishna and at the same time have the divine vision. One cannot have the divine vision without becoming divine. In other words, those who have divine vision can also see like Arjuna. Should I continue, Prabhuji?
Please continue.
The Bhagavad Gita gives the description of the universal form. Although this description was unknown to everyone before Arjuna, now one can have some idea of the Vishwarupa after this incident. Those who are actually divine can see the universal form of the Lord, but one cannot be divine without being a pure devotee of Krishna. The devotees, however, who are actually in the divine nature and who have divine vision are not very much interested in seeing the universal form of the Lord. As described in the previous verse, Arjuna desired to see the four-handed form of Lord Krishna as Vishnu, and he was actually afraid of the universal form.
All right. In the next paragraph, the terminology is described. Reading the last paragraph, please read the last paragraph of this paper. There are many persons who create incarnations.
There are many persons who create incarnations. They falsely claim an ordinary human to be an incarnation, but this is all foolishness. We should follow the principles of Bhagavad Gita, otherwise there is no possibility of attaining perfect spiritual knowledge. Although Bhagavad Gita is considered the preliminary study of the science of God, still it is so perfect that it enables one to distinguish what is what. The followers of a pseudo-incarnation may say that they have also seen the transcendental incarnation of God, the universal form, but that is unacceptable because it is clearly stated here that unless one becomes a devotee of Krishna, one cannot see the universal form of God. So one first of all has to become a pure devotee of Krishna. And then he can claim that he can show the universal form of what he has seen. A devotee of Krishna cannot accept false incarnations or followers of false incarnations. Thank you, Prabhuji.
So now Krishna says, Arjuna, you had been perturbed enough by seeing this ferocious form of mine. So let me close, take away this vision of yours. You have been perturbed and bewildered by seeing this horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free again from all disturbances. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form that you desire, like this. The purpose of the revelation of the universal form was shown, reading from the middle of the puppet. Now Arjuna wanted to see the four-armed form. So what was the purpose? We discussed why Arjuna asked, and Krishna actually showed Arjuna also just to see that, what will be the result of the war. So this is what it is going to happen. So now the purpose has been met. Arjuna wanted to see the four-handed form, and Krishna showed him. Now Prabhupada writes, a devotee is not much interested in the universal form, for it does not enable one to reciprocate loving feelings. Either a devotee wants to offer his respectful, worshipful feelings, or he wants to see the two-handed Krishna form so that he can reciprocate in loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And now Sanjay describes how Lord Shri Krishna showed his Narayan form. And Sanjay says, Iti Arjunam Vasudevastatuktva Swakam Rupam Darshaya Asabhuya Ashvasyamash Bhitamenam Bhutva Punha Somya Vapur Mahatma. Bhutva means again, Punaha, or Bhutva becoming, Punha means again, Somya Vapuhu. So this is referring to the Lord Narayana form. The beautiful form was shown by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna. Sanjay speaking to Dhritarashtra. The Supreme Personality Godhead, Krishna having spoken thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-armed form and at last showed his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. Prabhupada writes in the purport about what is this Somya Vapu means. Somya Vapu is a very beautiful form. It is known as the most beautiful form. When he was present, everyone was attracted simply by Krishna's form, and because Krishna is the director of the universe, he just banished the fear of Arjuna, his devotee, and showed him again his beautiful form of Krishna. And then, how did Arjuna respond? Arjuna was pacified. Text number 51. Arjuna says, Arjuna Vacha, Drashvedamanusham rupam tava saumyam janardana idanim samvrattaha sacheta prakritim gataha. When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, "Oh Janardhan, seeing this human-like form so very beautiful, I am now composed in mind and I am restored to my original nature." Please pay attention to the verse. The very first line Arjuna says, Drashvedam manusham rupam. Now you have given me the vision of manusham rupam, which is like human being, which means what roop Arjuna is seeing now? Two-handed form. Two-handed form, not the Narayan form. So Prabhupada writes in the puppet. We can read puppet. Madharanjana, go ahead, read the puppet of this verse. 51.
Hare Krishna. Here the words Manusam Rupam clearly indicate the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be ordinary two-handed. Those who deride Krishna as if he were an ordinary person are shown here to be ignorant of his divine nature. If Krishna is like an ordinary human being, then how is it possible for him to show the universal form and again to show the four-handed Narayana form? So it is very clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita that one who thinks that Krishna is an ordinary person and who misguides the reader by claiming that it is the impersonal Brahman within Krishna speaking is doing the greater injustice. Krishna has actually shown his universal form and his four-handed Vishnu form. So how can he be an ordinary human being? A pure devotee is not confused by misguiding commentators on Bhagavad Gita because he knows what is what. The original verses of Bhagavad Gita are as clear as the sun. They do not require lamplight from foolish commentators.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
So two
Krishna.
things have been proven so far. First, all forms comes from Krishna. Either be universal form or the Vishnu form. That's the one thing. And second thing, how can we see Krishna? Only through pure devotional service, as Krishna mentioned previously. Now, text number 52. We are concluding verses now. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Krishna says, something very interesting Krishna says. Sududarsham idam rupam. Arjuna, ये जो रूप आप मेरा देख रहे हो, दूरदर्शम नहीं है, सुदूरदर्शम है. It is the rarest of all. Not Virat Rup is rare. Virat Rup is rare. Narayan Rup is more rare. The rarest of all is to see me in two-handed form. Sududarsham idam rupam drashtavan asiyan mama devapiyasya rupasya nityam darshanakankshana. Even devatas are desirous of seeing this form. The Supreme Personality God said, "My dear Arjuna, this form of mine you're now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form, which is so dear." Like that. So Prabhupada writes, Sududarsham is the two-handed form is even more confidential. And how can we see this two-handed form? It is only possible by the process of devotional service. And then Prabhupada writes in the purport, devotional service begins with hearing about Krishna. Text number 53. How not to see Krishna? Naham veda na tapasa. ना तो मुझे वेद शास्त्र के अध्ययन से प्राप्त किया जा सकता है, ना तपस्या, ना मुझे तपस्या से, ना दाने ना चेज्जया, ना दान देकर, ना चा इज्जया, विच मीन्स पूजा पाठ करके, शक्य एवं विधु द्रष्टुम. शक्य मीन्स पॉसिबल, एवं मीन्स सर्टनली, विधु like this, drashtum, you can see me like this. Drashtavan asimam yatha. The form you're seeing with the transcendental eyes cannot be understood simply by studying Vedas, nor by undergoing serious penances, nor by charity, nor by worship. It is not by these means that one can see me as you are seeing me right now. Okay, the puppet. Somebody would like to read? If anyone has hands up, maybe the admins can manage it. Yes, go ahead.
Leela Nandini Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Krishna first appeared before his parents Devaki and Vasudeva in a four-handed form, and then he transformed himself into the two-handed form. This mystery is very difficult to understand for those who are atheists or who are devoid of devotional service. For the scholars who have simply studied Vedic literature by way of grammatical knowledge or mere academic qualifications, Krishna is not possible to understand, nor easy to be understood by persons who officially go to the temple to offer worship. They make their visit, but they cannot understand Krishna as he is. Krishna can be understood only through the path of devotional service, as explained by Krishna himself in the next verse. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And now we come to the second last verse of this chapter, one of the very important verses, text number 54. 1 second, where is my Zoom? Yeah, here it is. Bhaktya tunanya shakya. So how can I be seen? Krishna is addressing that. Aham evam vidhu Arjuna gyatum drashtum cha tatvena pravishtam cha parantapa. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am standing before you and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. How? Shuddha Bhakti, by undivided devotional service. And Prabhupada gives an emphasis on proper guidance. We'll come to the purport, is a big purport. Let me just quickly show you the some interesting thing about this verse. So instructions on pure bhakti. So Krishna says Mad Bhakta. No, this comes, yeah, Mad Bhaktya, right? Okay, that will come in the 55th verse. We'll see this in the 55th verse, this particular thing. All right, let's take a look at the purport. Not the first, but the second page, you see, Prabhupada quotes a verse, Yasya deve paravaktir yatha deve tataha guruhu tasyete katitha yartha prakashante mahatmanam. One who has unflinching devotion for the Supreme and is directed by the spiritual master, in whom he has similar unflinching faith, can see the Supreme Personality guarded by revelation. So Krishna cannot be seen through by mental speculation, but Prabhupada says, for one who does not take personal training under the guidance of one of our spiritual master, it is impossible to even begin to understand Krishna. And then Prabhupada writes a few paragraphs below. Krishna changes from the universal form to the four-handed form of Narayana and then to his own natural form of two hands. This indicates the four-handed forms and the forms mentioned in Vedic literature are all emanations of the original two-handed form of Krishna. Krishna is distinct even from these forms, what to speak of the impersonal conception. And the famous verse from Brahma Samhita, Yasye kanishvasita kalamathavalambhya jivanti loma vilaja jagadandanatha Vishnu mahasahya yasya kala vishesho govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. The Mahavishnu, into whom all the innumerable universes enter and from whom they came forth again simply by his breathing process, plenary expansion of Krishna. Therefore, I worship Krishna or Govinda as a cause of all causes. Like that, Prabhupada gives various evidences like this. And finally, at the end of the purport, Prabhupada writes, the universal form is not attractive for pure devotees who are in love with the Lord in different transcendental relationships. The Supreme Godhead exchanges transcendental love in his original form of Krishna. Therefore, to Arjuna, who was so intimately related with Krishna in friendship, this form of the universal manifestation was not pleasing. Rather, it was fearful. Arjuna, who was a constant companion of Krishna's, must have had transcendental eyes. He was not an ordinary man. Therefore, he was not captivated by the universal form. This form may seem wonderful to persons who are involved in elevating themselves by fruitive activities, but to persons who are engaged in devotional service, the two-handed form of Krishna is the most dear. You know, there are a lot of people in the world today who love violence. They like to see gory movies where they, they show a lot of killing, a lot of bloodshed or something like that. For them, we should teach them about Virat Rupa form. They would find some role model, some attraction like that. A lot of people are attracted to that. Text number 55 and conclude thing. How can I be attained? You see, every chapter literally has the same conclusion. Shuddha Bhakti, every chapter. Again, this chapter concludes that and it says, Mat karma kran mat paramo mad bhakta sangha varjitaha nirvaira sarva bhuteshu yah samameti pandavaha. My dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service. And what I will stop this, I'll show my slide for a second here, and then we'll take a look. Bear with me for this. Yes. So what does it mean? Mad Bhakta. Mad Bhakta means Krishna is the only goal. Disinterest for attendance in this world. There is no attraction for anything else. But at least, even of course, at sadhaka stage that cannot happen. But at least the whatever we do keeping Krishna as the priority. Even if we want to fulfill our material desires a little bit like that. Then we have Sangha Varjita, Madha Bhakta and Sangha Varjita. So free from Sangha Varjita, free from bad association means free from karma and jnana. Mat karma krit. Mat karma krit means work. So he works only for Krishna. That is said to be proactive. And then we have Mat Paraha. Mat karma kan, mat paramo, mad bhakta sangha varjitaha, nirvaire sarvabhuteshu, yassamameti panavaha. Desire Krishna, not heaven or Brahman. And finally, one is nirvairaha, sarvabhuteshu, which means be friendly to all. And that means to preach, to share the message of Krishna consciousness to all. Another way of looking at these 5 factors or these 5 terminologies are Mat Karma Karan means work for Krishna. Mat Paramo means the goal should be Krishna. Mad Bhakta means engage in the service of Krishna. Sangha Varjita means devoid of any association which distracts us from Krishna consciousness. Nirvahira Sarvabhuteshu, take risk to preach about Krishna. So 5 things we have to do. Krishna says, how can I be attained? I'll repeat again. First, Mat Karma Karan, work for Krishna. Mat Paramo, make me as goal of your life. Mad Bhakta, engage in my devotional service. Sangha Varjita, devoid of any such association which distracts us from Krishna consciousness, including Jnana and Karma platform. And the 5th, Nirvahiraha Sarvabhuteshu, fearlessly preach about me to Sarvabhuteshu. Yasamameti Pandavaha. Like this, such a person certainly will come back to me. Translation, my dear Arjuna, he who engages in my pure devotional service, free from the contamination of karma and jnana, he who works for me, who makes me the supreme goal of his life, who is friendly to every living being, he certainly comes to me. In the purport explains this different terminology, what it means, which we kind of just described so far like this. So let's take a look at the last paragraph of this purport. Prabhupada writes, in summary, the universal form of Krishna, which is a temporary manifestation, and the form of time, which devours everything, and even the form of Vishnu, four-handed, have all been exhibited by Krishna. Thus, Krishna is the origin of all these manifestations. It is not that Krishna is the manifestation of original Vishrup or Vishnu. Krishna is the origin of all forms. That's first point. There are hundreds and thousands of Vishnu, but for a devotee, no form of Krishna is important but the original form, two-handed Shyamsundara. Second, the devotees of Krishna are only attracted to Krishna. And the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that those who are attached to Shyamsundara, the form of Krishna in love and devotion, can see him always in the heart and cannot see anything else. One should understand, therefore, that the purport of this 11th chapter is the form of Krishna is essential and supreme. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purpose to the 11th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita and the matter of the universal form. So we began our discussion by quoting a verse from 1st Canto, 16th chapter, verse number 6, if I am correct, or the 16th verse, either of it, where Sutta Goswami was speaking to the sages of Naimisharanya. And he said that how when Parikshit Maharaj went on to the tour of his kingdom, he heard wherever he went that how Krishna was so compassionate and kind to his forefathers or his fathers, for that reason, forefathers. How Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was so malleable. According to the desires of Pandavas, he accepted different roles. He became a passenger, he became a peace messenger, he became a night watchman. He became a charioteer, he was a friend to them, he was a mother, father, everything to them. He became everything, whatever the devotees wanted. That was the greatness of the relationship between Pandavas and Krishna. And that was the greatness of Pandavas, for whom Krishna was willing to take anything. And we began our discussion today with why Krishna was so favorable towards Pandavas. And the answer to that, Prabhupada writes in the purport, because Pandavas are totally malleable to Krishna. And in this chapter, that was a theme which was discussed, where Krishna tells Arjuna, Nimitta matram bhavva savya sachi. Become an instrument of my grace. For us, we have to become an instrument of the grace of our spiritual authorities or of a guru and Gauranga for that reason. And to do that, we need one quality, and that is we should be malleable. We cannot be stiff in our relationship. I can do this, I cannot do that. Malleable, okay, as you say, so I'm willing to. And this malleability can only happen when we have cultured this practice of subordinating. It begins with small baby steps. Then only tomorrow you can expect to take a big step when you're asked to. But if you're not yet accepted taking baby steps and to think in the future I'll surrender, it does not work. Prabhupada writes very clearly, surrender is a gradual process. It is not overnight. You cannot just bend yourself immediately. You have to learn bending yourself slowly and slowly. And then you come to the platform where he says, all right, Arjuna, despite being such a close friend of Krishna, yet Arjuna needed so much discussion with Krishna to come to a conclusion that I should fight, engage in the war, like that. So for Arjuna, 45 minutes, I would say still was too much in that sense, because Arjuna, being so close, intimate to Krishna, Krishna is there. Does Krishna need to speak to you 45 minutes to convince you? But it indicates, we say, okay, Krishna, Arjuna understood 45 minutes, that's his glory. Correct, that's his glory, because it takes lifetimes for us to understand. That's a different thing. But the point is, Krishna wants something to happen. For that, Krishna has to speak to 45 minutes? Think about your manager. He sends you an email and you're dancing on your knees or wherever you dance, not on the knees, dancing on your feet. You're dancing to the tune of the email, and here Krishna took 45 minutes. So it just shows, if we just make a connection, surrender is a gradual thing. And to accomplish that state, we need to begin practicing today. We need to begin taking shelter today so that we can actually come to the stage where we can really practice this nimitta matram bhavya savya sachi. That's the whole essence, gist of the subject matter. Who can see Krishna in his 200 form, which is Sudhu Darsham? Krishna says it's only possible through Ananya Bhakti. And we saw the 5 factors in it. Work for Krishna, preach for Krishna, follow the rules and regulation, live a pure life, like that. Uske baad, engage in service for Krishna, like that. There were 5 things that we saw, and that's how we can serve Krishna. Now we finished 11th chapter. Now comes the best part, which is the 12th chapter. And it's double best part because there's only 1 chapter distance between you and your Unit 2 exam. Okay? You're only 1 chapter away from Unit 2 exam. And another best part of the Unit 12th chapter is, it is the smallest chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So you're too close to your exam now. Okay. And the third highlight of the chapter 12 is, so many times people ask, how do I know if by my devotional service I'm pleasing Krishna? So in 12th chapter, Krishna will tell you how you can please him. And that is how Bhakti Yoga section concludes. So 12.12 to 12.20, Krishna will talk about what pleases me. And he very clearly, no scope of misjudgment and misunderstanding. What Krishna wants or not. Very clearly he puts it, what pleases me. And that's how the chapter 12 ends. And then what pleases me, that you all excel in your exam. So you better start preparing. No, what pleases me, that you submit your OBA in time. So we'll make a 21st verse in there. Ki Baba, finish your OBA in time. This week, I'll come back with some schedule of your exam and I'll take it forward from there. So that's it for today. If in case anyone has any questions or comments, you can raise your hand. And I don't know what's the status. Some development work is going on our website still. Just wanted to bring to your notice that we have launched a new website kind of a thing titled as same Evolve Pune, but it's largely Evolve Community, offering community services. So one thing that I was struggling with, which I wanted to get rid of it through technical thing, is all of you, this is not the only one online batch I have. I like this, I have many batches where I interact with online devotees. and becomes very difficult for me to know who is who. So at the beginning of your application, you all had to submit your application form with a photo. But what happens, I don't get to keep those forms. Those forms goes to the office. Now, if somebody sends me a message, it becomes very difficult for me to connect the name with the face like that. So I wanted to create a platform for myself where all the students are there, they have their profile and things like that. And then, I can know who is who. I get queries from all sides. So if I know who is the devotee from where and how is he connected, what's his spiritual practice, then accordingly I can respond to. So I would request all of you, I don't know, can anyone just check, is Evolve back on track now? Because the team was working on it. So you can all, this thing, when you get a time, just go onto the evolvepreneur.com, just sign into your account, and maybe you can just create a small profile page, whatever photos you had uploaded for Bhakti Shastri form. If you wish, you can add that and add some details. And within a week's time, most of the communication would happen through that. We'll share the details. We'll have a dedicated group also for our discussion and all that. I just saw a question about you need something about what? OBA. These things have been addressed time and again. We have already have a particular portal on the website where you can go and access it. And this is where, we have to stop asking the same question again and again. So I believe Mother Medhavani, she is an admin for our Bhakti Shastri group on the website. Mother Medhavani, you can share the link. You can share the link so that people know where to go and find everything. So you don't have an excuse that, questions were not shared. Everything has been shared from the day one. If you're not technically so comfortable, you can just bookmark it. Now the things on the site would be very smooth. Regarding OBA submissions, Madhukar Prabhu, this week I'll come back with the dates. I'll let you know about it. So, and also we'll share some video about how everything is there at one place. You can always go access it, because everything was shared on WhatsApp, but so many messages happen over a period of time, we lose it. So we'll try to, reconcile some glitches here. All right, any other thing or any other question? So yeah, Mother Medhavani have shared the group. This is a group where you'll find all your documents, OBA questions, etc., etc. Mother Medhavani makes those shloka PPTs for you to memorize, etc. Everything would be shared at one place. Go anytime, access it, download and use for yourself, so that same question doesn't have to be asked again and again. All right. Mother Medhavani, if in case you wish, you can even record a simple video and show, where to go and navigate and how to access the group and see that. All of them have been already added to the group. It'll be easy for them. At my end, our team would nonetheless release a video in some days like that. Okay, let's take to any philosophical question or any subject matter to discuss apart from exam right now. Anadi and Shubhan Prabhu, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, here in Shloka 11.50, 11.50, there Krishna says that, in the translation, Prabhupada says that having spoken thus to Arjuna, Krishna displayed his real four-armed form and at last showed his two-armed form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. So, why is real used before the four-armed form? Like, how do we understand which is actually real, the two-armed form or the four-armed form?
You can read the next paragraph where Krishna showed his 200 form and go with what Prabhupada writes there. 200 form is the original form. All right.
Okay. Then any specific reason for why real has been used before the 400 form?
Real is that Krishna is the original form and he is showing the real Narayan form. Who can show the real Narayan form? Who can show the real form? Only when you have that. For example, let's say Anadi Anshuman Prabhu is performing a role play in drama. And let's say you're Vishnu Duta. And then we say, now Anadi Anshuman Prabhu is going to show his real form as an IT engineer. You take off your makeup and everything, you come. You only can show that because you have it, na? Yes or no?
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Okay. All right. Mother Medhavani, something to say here?
Prabhuji, I had a query. When Krishna actually shows the universal form to Yashoda Maya, that time Yashoda Maya does not get bewildered, right? Oh, I treated you as my son and all that, right? She still thinks that...
What exactly did Krishna show to Yashoda?
Right, he showed the entire universe being inside his mouth, and Yashoda Maya simply fainted, and
Yeah,
she did not
because he
realize the
didn't-
Aishwarya
He did
of
not
Krishna.
show any killing of Bhishma, Drona, not Bhishma, Drona. He didn't show any killings which could have terrified Mother Yashoda. What Mother Yashoda just saw, the whole universe was in the belly of, or in the mouth of Krishna. Right?
Correct.
What's next?
No, my query is, while Yashoda Maya did not understand the Aishwarya Bhav, Arjuna is also pure devotee of the Lord. But why did he get bewildered by this Aishwarya aspect of the Lord?
Oh, actually, Mother Yashoda fainted because of that only. And then again, the internal potency of the Lord covered her, where she forgot what she saw.
Okay.
She fainted because of that only. Ah! And at the end of it, she saw herself. So she fainted because of that. That was fainted. I mean, you can imagine what would have been the shock. Yeah, but she forgot. She was covered over by the internal potency of the Lord. Yes, Vakanpati Prabhu.
Yeah, but why Arjuna wanted to see the 400 form? Because he knows Krishna only has a 200 forms. No.
Yeah, as much as he was eager to see the universal form for our sake. So much so, he was eager to see the 400 form just to reconcile for once for all. Krishna is the original personality Godhead. So we started a discussion why Arjuna wanted to see the universal form. And the reasons was he wanted to establish divinity of the Lord. He wanted to establish a benchmark so that nobody in the future can declare, himself like that. So we discussed those 4 points. And for the same reason, he asked Krishna to show his 400 form also. So this discussion, Vishnu is the source, Krishna is the source, can also get reconciled. It's the same theme, same discussion.
Because when he wants to see, after seeing the universal form, he says, "I want to see your original form." That's what he says. Then afterwards he goes and says that show me the 400 form also. So when he says that show me the original form, and again he's going back saying that show me the 200.
Yes, so what he expressed here, my dear Lord, kindly please withdraw this form of yours. This is very scary. Show me your Swami Roop. And then he expresses what he wants to see. My dear Lord, can you please show me your 400 form? And how did he express? He expressed by, Chaturbhuja. He used Chaturbhuja form. I would like to see. हिंदी में कहते हैं बहती गंगा में हाथ धो लेना. जब प्रभु इतने ऑलरेडी दयालु हो रहे हैं तो यार जो भी मांगना है मांग लो एक बारी में. I'm just joking. I mean, Krishna is in full form to show all the forms. तो चलो चले हाथ एक नारायण फॉर्म का भी दर्शन हो जाएगा. Just joking. Like that. All right. Yes, Radheshwar Prabhu.
So, Prabhu, 2 questions. So one is, why did then Krishna show his 400 form to Mother Devaki and Vasudev before he appeared?
See, that's a very interesting thing actually. For that you have to read the 10th canto carefully. Actually, Krishna never appeared to Devaki. Krishna appeared to Yashoda only. What appeared to Devaki was Vasudev, 400 form. So as you read the commentaries of the Acharya, when Vasudev brought Krishna to Gokul, so what Vasudev saw was a baby girl. But actually there was Krishna also. And this form, what Vasudeva was carrying, merged into the form of the Krishna, which had taken birth from Mother Yashoda. And in return, he brought Maya Devi. Therefore, Krishna writes, you're born, we are born, you're my sister. We're born from the same parents. Vishnu is born from Mother Yashoda. Like that. So this is something which is, unless we are on the 10th canto, we are explicitly speaking about it. Generally, we don't speak on the subject matter like that.
And similarly, like when he was going back to Mathura, similarly, the Krishna form stayed back in Vrindavan and it's a Vasudeva form.
If you look into that aspect of discussion, therefore, Krishna never leaves Vrindavan, first. Second thing, Krishna never kills any demons. All that activity is done by Vasudev. That is a function of Vishnu. That's not a function of Krishna. Those are the details of this in terms of how do you understand the differences. So Krishna is always in Vrindavan. He is he cannot leave like that. He never leaves. So, and then there are other reasonings given why Krishna showed his 400 form for Krura and all that. Okay, fine.
And second question, Prabhu, sorry, that So why do we then say, so this Divya Drishti or the divine sight that has been needed by Arjuna to kind of be able to see the material universal form of the Lord. So if it is needed to see the material universal form, then why it is called Divya Drishti? Or in one place, Prabhupada has also written transcendental vision. So
very good question. Because from Krishna's perspective, everything is divine. Even Maya Devi's or matter is divine. It depends on our utilization. The moment we get into exploitative mode, that is the time the material energy captures us. But the same material energy we use in the service of Krishna, it becomes divine. So it's upon the utilization of it. So from Krishna's perspective, everything is divine. From pure devotee's perspective, everything is divine. Same Krishna addresses Maya Devi in Bhagavad Gita as divine. Devi Esha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratya. Devi is a divine energy. And same Devim Prakriti Ashritaha. In that ninth chapter, the definition of Mahatmas when it comes 9.13 and 14 verses. So Mahatmana Sumam Partha Devim Prakriti Ashritaha. So they are under the divine energy. Which divine? And we have discussed this word divine that point of time, like that. So what is material, what is spiritual? It all depends on our usage of it, our consciousness, like that. The same matter becomes divine if it is used in the service of Krishna. All right. Thank you. Hare Krishna. So we conclude our discussion here for today. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita.